Don Mattingly, the Marlins manager, kind enough to join us. Donnie, how are you doing this morning?
Doing okay. It's been a couple of days of, kind of going through all this happened so fast, and there's really no script. And like you said, a lot of stuff just happens, and you just keep going, So it's been a rough couple of days for us. And as I said last night, we got to get out of ourselves and think about the families of, these three men that passed away and their families. So you still got to continue to get away from yourself and think about the other families.
What's your role been the last 48 hours?
I feel like just to be myself. I know you have a group of men underneath you, and I think and like I tell them, I feel just like you guys do. It was heartbreaking. I mean, this kid, he's infectious. I mean, he just had this spirit about him and this confidence that he would. It's just great to see, that emotion that he pitched with and that he lived with, and it's just this energy he has and confidence that it's just so big that it was hard not to just love him.
What were you thinking when D. Gordon hit that ball?
Kind of like the last couple of days, just kind of like in shock. Like, really, did that just happen? And just you don't even know what to think. You're just like, wow. At the end of the game, I think we're going to end up 16 hits, and Justin Bour's going to hit a homer to hit for the cycle because it's that day. For some reason, that was going to happen that day. I mean, it didn't, but those are the kind of things you think like, wow, why is this happening? How is this happening?
How much was discussed of how you pay tribute to Jose prior to and even during and after the game?
Very little. The only thing we talked to the guys about is what kind of music they wanted during BP. And they all wanted Jose music. They wanted Latin music. And then they asked if anybody wanted special walk-up songs, and some of them, Christian Yelich did not want anything. And other guys had almost their own tribute with their walk-up music. And that was it. Everything else was, the organization, walked through, what was going to happen. And that was it. There was the stuff around the mound was totally the players and happening on the cuff, both before and after. The Mets thing was off the cuff. I had no idea anything that would happen. There was so much stuff that just happened, and there was not scripted.
Plus, Terry Collins is in a delicate situation of, honoring what happened, being respectful, but also he's trying to, win a wild card berth here with the Mets. Did you talk to Terry at all?
Yeah, we talked before the game, and we knew I knew he was in a tough spot with his club, and I think all of baseball felt the same way. I had some texts from guys on different teams that I had managed, and they're saying their clubhouse was just silent. So I knew the Mets felt the same. And like you said, Terry has, how do we honor and respect what was going to happen last night, but try to get your team to play a game. And, honestly, if he shuts us out for 4 innings and they get a few runs, it just would have looked totally different.
He's Don Mattingly, the Marlins manager, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Anything that prepare you for this moment? I think you arrived in New York 3 years after Thurman Munson passed away, if that's right. But do you remember anything that could help you lead with, help you through this?
Not really. I talked to Mike Hardgrove had texted me, and so I talked to him yesterday before I went to the ballpark, and he had been through the boating accident with Cleveland. He was a manager during that, and he just, we just talked about being. He said he didn't really give me any advice because there's nothing he could say to me. There's really nothing you can say to someone to deal with that. There's nothing prepares you for it. He's just saying, be yourself. And that's really what all I tried to do is, I love this kid, and it hurt me, and I knew that they were hurting, the players were hurting, and so you just were totally honest that that's the way you felt, and you just try to get through the day. You don't try to do anything other than let's just get through the day. We all feel like this. We have to do this, and you just try to get through it.
How did you find out about the accident?
Got called. David Sampson called me. I think it was about 7:15 in the morning. We had a day game. I had my alarm set for like 7:45. You just kind of get up and head to the park. And when he called, I didn't have my glasses on, so I'm like, David's calling me at 7 in the morning or 7:15, and that was he said Jose's been killed in a boating accident, and I was just like, oh my God. And so from there, it just started this, right? So you get dressed and you head in and start just trying to process it all.
And then the decision to not play the game?
That came pretty quickly. Before they had been talking to the commissioner's office, and so by the time I got to the ballpark that morning, they had canceled the game.
For those who may not know who he was nationally as a pitcher, because we're hearing about the personality as well, but can you put into words the pitcher that Jose Fernandez was?
This is a guy with just tremendous stuff. You know, he could hit 100 if he really wanted to and wanted to pitch at that gear. He had 100 in there after Tommy John. Huge, just a kind of almost unhittable slider when he had it going because of the combination, and just the competitor in him was off the charts. And the confidence that he would show out there, it was like if somebody hit him, it was always like, man, that was a good pitch he hit. And so it was never like, I can't do this. It was like, I can always do this. I can beat anyone, and just that competitor. And then he came up with the change. He worked on the change. We talked about, I talked to him about what Zach had told me about his changeup, how he threw it, and what he did with it, what he tried to do, and he worked on it in the spring. And it was like he had this change was coming along that was because we talked about, once he lost some velocity, this change was going to add to his fastball and just create different tougher scenarios for hitters. And he was working on that. And that last game he threw against the Nationals was the best game I've ever seen him throw. And he may have threw better than that another time, but he was calm. He was under control. He used that changeup with the lefties. This is a guy that, sky was the limit, and he was just really learning how to pitch under control, not just go out there and outstuff them.
And the personality he had, just seeing the video where Bonds is kissing his head, and it felt like he was infectious with that. There was a personality there that when he was around, everybody sort of gravitated towards him. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah, Dan, this is a kid, and I said it, at the press conference the first day. Didn't say it very clearly, but he epitomizes what you feel when you come to the big leagues that first time. The excitement that you have in you that you've gotten to the big leagues. It felt like he was playing Little League. You see a kid that just loves to play. He's out there just having so much fun. And just that right there is just so. It was so great to be around. Now he would drive you crazy. I'm telling you, he could drive. It's like one of the guys said he's probably gotten under all of our skin at one point or the other. But that other side of him was just such a little boy, and that's, I think, the part of it that you could see yourself. You see kids playing ball out in the field, or just playing. And that's what you've seen in Jose. And it was just, that part was just awesome to be around.
We appreciate it, Donnie. I know it's tough, but thank you for sharing your thoughts on him. And I thought the rest of the country should know more about him and remember him for who he was. But thank you for putting that into perspective for us this morning.
You got it, Dan. Thanks.
All right. Don Mattingly.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.